So hi to everybody, my name is Chandra Doremus and I work for Kentucky State University as a Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Agent. And today I'm going to be showing you some basics on food dehydration. And so the purpose of this technique is to preserve some of your fruits and to dry them using a different process. And we're actually going to be using an actual dehydrator that is more of a box style, which you see in front of me. And it has several different panels that you can utilize. And as you can see, ours is a little bit more compact and you can move the little drawer up and down. And what happens is you will prepare your fruit samples or your jerky or whatever food item that you have, place it on the little iron sheets here, or baking sheets I would call them, and then you just close it and you set your temperature. So that's typically more of an overall process, and different dehydrators have different processes. There are some that are more of a circular shape that give more of a round, more conventional type air. And what happens is you can choose anything from apples, you can choose oranges, grapes, and all kinds of different jerky and herbs. So pretty much you can use this type of dehydrator or other types, which are circular, and some other ones. So today we're going to focus on this one, and we're going to dehydrate some apples, and I'm going to walk you through the process. Dehydrating can extend the product life of food for several weeks. So say for instance, if you have, say, bananas, which usually don't have a long shelf life, say for instance maybe a week or two, depending on how the temperature is. So to extend the shelf life, just a couple of days. And one thing that's different about dehydrating is after the food has been dehydrated, we can put it in air-sealed jars called mason jars, but you have to use a seal that is pretty much airtight. Or what would happen is if the jar lid is not completely sealed, air would release and your food would deteriorate much quicker. Is we're gonna go ahead and start working on apples. So before you guys came, I have an apple recipe, and it calls for the apples to be dipped in 2 quarts of water, which I've measured that out, and you see that here. And you also have to try and keep the apples from what we call oxidation. So oxidation pretty much turns the inside of the apples or your fruit. If it's a banana or certain kinds of fruits, will turn brown. So what we're going to do to keep that from happening is we've set aside a boiler of 2 quarts of cool water, and you're supposed to dip your apples in there after you slice them. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take the little vines out of the middle of this, and I'm going to have to slice this into 1/4 1/4 inch size. And you have to put 2 tablespoons of the fruit refresher produce inside of your water solution. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands again. And so just give me a couple of seconds, and I'm going to start showing you guys how to take the little middle out with the little stems and everything. And it usually takes a little bit. I was going to have some stuff already pre-done, but that did not happen. And so one extra tip I will talk about too is using an actual slicer, which I have here, which can make it much, much easier for you with slicing your apples. You can use this kind. This just happens to be one that's more of it can be used for any type of thing like julienne or anything. So this one, you can do like little cucumber slices, or today we'll be gonna try the apples. I tried a couple before you guys got in here, so it's pretty neat, and I like it because it's super easy. I actually was supposed to have an electric one, but the electric one is not here. So, so I got an alternative, and it works just as fine, but you have to be very careful with it. And I'm going to show you guys in just a minute why and what you cannot do, because I did something I wasn't supposed to do. Number one, you're supposed to read the directions. And number two, you're supposed to keep your fingers from going inside of the unit. It's got like a little mouthpiece on it. So in just a minute here, once I get my apple prepped, I'm going to put it inside, and this is supposed to push pressure on your actual fruit. And then you use this as more of a slicer. You push it down like this, and it slices your fruit pretty much. So, and that's pretty much what it does. But before I get to that part, I have to slice up a couple of apples and put them in our oxidation water. So give me just a second. I'll wash my hands and I'll show you guys how that process works. It's not all that hard. It's just can be a little tricky and a little time consuming. So that's why I highly recommend doing something like a I would say electric slicer if you have one. And if you're doing this for some house guests, it may be easier for you to do it before they arrive, and that makes it so much easier. So I am going to be doing this today, and so I'm not the best I can do potatoes very good, but apples is not easy for me. So bear with me as I deal with these little ruffians I call apples. They can be a little tricky because I've already tried a couple before you guys got here, and they're not the easiest. So on this fresh produce, like I said, the oxidation process, you definitely have to use this if you don't want your fruit to turn brown. And let me tell you, it turns brown extremely fast. So make sure that you're using something like this. And this one was kind of a little bit not too pricey. So I'm going to take this, and it's supposed to be 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to just go ahead and measure out 2. I've already got my water here, and I'm just going to scoop it in. And I'm hoping that will be enough. It seems like it's set 2, so I'm not going to try and do more than 2. I'm just going to mix it a little. And that should work. It's set at 2. So if I were at home, I probably would sneak and put more. But the recipe calls for 2, and I'm going to tell you guys the right way to do it. So, okay, so I've already rinsed these, and so the basic way that I have been cutting out this stem part, I was trying to do it one way, but I definitely don't think that's going to work. So, and my cutting skills sometimes are not the best, so bear with me. I'm going to just cut these in half and go ahead and put these in so that they can start the oxidation process. And to be honest with you, I think I'm supposed to devine it and everything. So let me give you, I'm moving a little fast. So apples can be kind of tricky, and to be honest, there could be an easier way to do this, but
We got an apple slice in Michael's.
oh really?
Yeah.
I wish I had known that before today. But you have to take all these little middle parts out.
Take it out.
Yeah, so, and I'm just using a little freestyle method here that I have created as of right now. And so what has to happen is you have to take the middle part out, and you have to take the stems out, and then you have to cut a fourth. And you see, guys, here's the oxidation process I was talking about. Do you all see? I want you to see how brown these apples got that I did not put in the oxidation. Does everybody see? Yes, so it doesn't mean that it's bad, but it does mean that the air has touched it, and so it has this oxidation process that happens. And these are pretty much the little seed areas on the inside. So I tried to cut them down as much as I could so that I would not have as much waste. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and get all of my little apple peels or my little slices out of the solution of water. And this is about 2 quarts of water. And all of it should have had some kind of interaction with the fruit. It's called a fruit protector. So hopefully it will stay this gorgeous, beautiful color. And to be honest with you, I think there is supposed to be a time limit on when. I think it recommends about 3 minutes, but if you are cutting it, if you leave it in there a little bit longer, it's not gonna be it won't be bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay it on the sheets inside of here. And just so you guys know, it will make a little bit of a noise in just a minute here. Once I turn it on, I'm going to put it on 130, and it is going to sound loud. So I might have to start talking a little louder because the thing is going to start making some noise. So and again, just so you guys know, the slices should be a little bit thinner on some of these, but because I was going extremely fast, they are not as thin, but that is okay because today I am doing like a quick demonstration. So my neatness is a little bit different than I would prefer, and I would say just make sure you don't pull your, well, I'll just hold it and then do it like this so that way it won't fall. And so basically you can take more than one at a time just so you go a little bit faster, which what I'm doing here. It doesn't have to be arranged in any specific fashion or any specific row. I'm a little bit too, sometimes I like everything to be specifically in one little line, but I actually like these trays because they are very, very efficient. And one tip I can give you too is when you're choosing your parchment paper, I can't recommend any specific brand, but certain brands, they have ruler lines on the actual parchment paper. So that helps you in putting everything in correctly. And so I'm turning it on, and so the timer, let's see, it has to be set for, let's see, let me make sure. It's supposed to be 6.5 hours at 130 degrees or 135. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Let's see here. So I'm going to read you the directions. It says place apple slices onto the drying trays in a single layer, being certain that apple slices do not overlap or touch each other. Apple slices are usually large enough that they will not fall through the perforations on the tray. Even though the apple slices will shrink as moisture is removed, it's not necessary to use flexible strings or parchment paper to line the trays. And this is just general directions, so you can use it, the parchment paper, you cannot. It says dry apple slices at 130 until they are pliable or show no signs of surface moisture. To test for dryness, fold an apple slice in half. The apple slice should not stick to itself. Now squeeze the folded apple slice. Surface should remain dry. If the apple slice fails the dry test, return all apple slices to the dehydrator. So I need to set the time at 130. So let's see, it was already set at 158. So, and let's see, I'm going to set it for 6 hours. So that way It's set at 6. So it will, this unit right here, it beeps once it's done. So these mamas will be in here. It's almost like a microwave. The fan is on the back of it, so it's literally kind of generating some air now. It's gonna suck all the moisture out of the apples, and then it's gonna be these cute little crispy little things. So that is the dehydrating process. And so how does it look? Does it look like something you guys could do at home? So this was super, super fun and easy. The apples are a little tricky because you have to get the little seeds out. And let's see, how much time? So Ms. Page should be back in another 30 minutes. So what I will do is I will go ahead and I'm going to start trying the process of these other little apples, trying to slice those and put some in our bigger dehydrator here. And this one is a little bit different, as in it's got a little bit of a, it's round, circular. So, and the fun part about this one, guys, is it has all the stuff kind of listed for you on the front of it. Not on the front, but on the top. It has a temperature for jerky, and jerky has to be set at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the meats have to be set at 160, and fish has to be set at 160. So nuts and seeds have to be set at 105, herbs and spices at 95 degrees. And so, and this one's called the Garden Master Fruit Dehydrator and Jerky Maker. So this one is a little bit more,
That's nice.
Oh, thank you. So it kind of twists and comes off. And we are going to try and do probably just this top tray. So.
Can you show how to use that apple slicer?
Oh, sure. I can do that. Okay. So for the apple slicer, what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and get rid of some of my other stuff here. Give me a second. Let's see. Okay. So with this one, the apple slicer, you pretty much, I had to go ahead and I have my fruit kind of, some pieces are already sliced. I will try to use the one that's not sliced because I dumped one in here, not sliced all that great. So we'll try this one, but I will try and get some of these seeds out of here. Oh my gosh, this is much. It's gonna cut this out?
Yeah, to peel it and get the core out.
Huh.
And like you get ready to put it in the slicer, it'll slice it in there.
Well, let's try it. I'm all for trying things. Now, one thing you must remember is your apple has to fit into the slicer itself. So I have tried to put it in here as well as cut a little bit more off. It's this is a weird knife. Okay, so it recommends that you drop your food item in, and this blade comes in and out. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's got a little handle on the side which comes in and out. You drop the food piece. Make sure you don't put your hand or your fingers on the inside of this. And this slides on and off, just so you guys can see. It slides on and off. And this has a little thing where you can change the blades. And I did something before, so apologize for that. But make sure your fingers are nowhere near that part. And that comes in and out, and it changes blades. And I've already selected the one for the apple. And then you just go turn this upside down, and it slides on like that. And this prevents you from cutting your finger. And just make sure you don't put your finger down in it trying to get something out, because the blades, There's the blades right there. They come in and out. So, and we're gonna just put an apple down in it, and it has a little lever, and all you do is you just, oh yeah, the other part. You have to put this in here, and you push it down, and it just slices just like that. And it keeps you free from getting your finger jammed. And there you go. And just like she just mentioned, and the difference in, say for instance, me doing my hand, as you guys can tell, this one does much, much thinner slices and quicker, just like you just said. So, and what you can do, I'll go ahead and do the other one, and I'll go ahead and put these in my little bowl here. So that way, you can use it for potatoes. You can use like a slice called the julienne, and you can do different little slices in it, and it's very, very user friendly. So, and I'm getting confused on the shape again, but so basically, let's see, I think I put it upside down. There we go. So you can just pretty much use this as a force to put the little slicer in, and it's giving me a little bit of a resistance, but it's that was kind of funny. But so basically you just put your shape on the little hole here. So this is very, very convenient. I love it. I literally opened it up today and was able to use it. So sometimes devices take me a little bit longer to get used to using. So, and then what you can do is you can remove the slicer, and I'm gonna move all these little not so pretty, yeah, and you got some very, very fine sliced chips, and I can put these on the inside of our little tray. And so that works out perfect for us, because now we got more chips. And so I can actually do more chips, but I would have to put them in my little elixir here. And what I'm gonna do is just remove these little mamas because they're oxidized. And other than that, that is pretty much how you can slice it. And like I said, there's all types of little slicers that you can use. And so, basically you can find one at any retailer, like your local Walmart or somewhere like that, or you can find them online at online stores, Targets. It's no specific store, so you pretty much can find it at any location. And it's literally, this one was less than $20, and like I said, it's user friendly. You don't have to have a lot of money. Now the electronic ones cost, it depends. So if you want something really, really nice, pretty much like this, but electronic, where you just press a button, it runs from about $55 to $75. And then the machines, the dehydrators themselves, run different prices. So this was purchased on our behalf for Kentucky State. So somebody else put this in a buggy and actually ordered it, but I think these run at roughly about $75 to $150. So this one I think is a little bit less than that one. So because this one has the see-through glass on it, and this one, I don't know, this one seems like it's more suited for meats for some reason, but we might try jerky the next time, I'm not sure, but I've just done fruits with this, with both of them, so we're fixed to try the apples in a few minutes. But they seem to work pretty easy, and I think I'm wanting to try fruit roll-ups in one of these. But basically, you just do like a puree with your fruit and just spread it out, and it has to dry, obviously. So they're very user-friendly, and I mean, you don't necessarily have to put parchment paper, just like the directions mentioned. You just lay this right on top of the little trays, and it's done. And so you just put it in here in layers, and that's it. And we've already got it plugged up, and I'm gonna rinse this off just because I pre-rinse those before you guys got here. So I'm just gonna put these through the rinse really fast. But some of these I did not pre-rinse, but I'm going to pre-rinse some of my trays just because I want to be making sure that they have been rinsed down. But it's one of those personal things. You don't have to rinse it if you don't necessarily want, but you can rinse it. So I am just going to rinse it just a little, and I don't want to make it soapy, so I'm just going to rinse it. I always do this at home, but so anybody have any questions so far? I have just been talking and talking. I like you guys asking me questions because then it gives me ideas about stuff to do. So has anybody ever tried this kind of stuff at home before by show of hands? No? Okay, well, to be honest, it's something that a lot of people don't even think about. There's so many different little machines and stuff you can buy, and appliances. Some of my family members, they happen to be big on appliances, so you just never know what kind of appliance you might actually get and use. But this one is pretty user friendly, and of course it's recommended that you don't put the top unit in water, just because of the simple fact that it's got wires hanging all through it. So you don't want to put that in water, obviously. And of course, if you I'm just putting some little rinse on it because all this stuff should be fairly new. It hasn't been used, but if you find yourself having to clean it, just put a little soapy water on it, and warm water I'd recommend, and just dry it off that way. Today I'm not using soap because if I do, I'm scared that put some soap on your food. So so just make sure this is just a light rinse, but it shouldn't have any kind of particles or anything. It's just to remove like anything else, like maybe something I can't see with my own eyes. But that is it on the cleaning process for it. And let's see, I would recommend do not try and turn it over or upside down or tilt it or anything. And other than that, when these are fairly new, you may recognize like a little bit of a light scent or something, but that's normal. And since we're probably not going to have all that many layers, I'm not going to have too many layers on here. I'm just going to take it all the way to the top and layer these on here.
And you know the pieces you throw away, they could have been mini bites.
Really?
Mini bites with your chicken. Doing that, you can put it on there.
Okay. Well, thank you for that tip. The only reason I honestly, since it got so brown, I've never seen apples turn that brown. When I eat them, I usually eat them so quick, I've never even noticed they turn that brown. So, but what I could do, I guess, is give you guys some little samples if you like, but I guess I'd have to send them through the little oxidizer and chop them up in little cubes. I didn't think about that earlier. But let's see here. Let me just make sure. I didn't know this is before. But so that's pretty much it on how this works. And you usually just have to lay these flat. So, and this one doesn't have the slicer did not remove the seeds as well, but that's okay. I guess you just have to be mindful of that whenever you're cooking or whenever you're doing your slices.
Slice will make it so much easier and take all the core out of it.
Uh-huh.
And they peel it as well, but you won't leave the peel as on and just take the core out.
Yeah. So this is pretty much the process.
I like the green apples better.
Oh, you like the green apples better because it is sweet sour? Okay.
Do both of them take
Yes.
It looks like maybe the one you're using right now, fancier and would do it faster, but probably not.
If it's thin slicer, they're gonna get quick, don't take as
So
long.
it'll probably, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and like I said, doing it by hand, I definitely haven't mastered trying to do some slices this thin. And when you use a slicer, I'm kind of glad I did it by hand so I can see the difference. But you can see the difference. It's much, much thinner, and you'll have a more even, you'll have an even cut. So that makes it much, much easier. And let's see here. Now this one is going to have a loud noise like the other one. And you set your temperature for 130. And let's see, time. Okay. So it's funny because it literally, after you set the temperature, the time just flashes on the screen and it'll allow you to set the time. So, and now these are going to have to sit for 6 hours. I will probably have to place them somewhere else, honestly, but it's going to be plugged up for 6 hours. It'll be on the timer. And what'll happen is I will put them in smaller jars than what are here, because I didn't have all that much apples. So I'll go ahead and start trying to do the rest of these apples. And in the meantime, if you guys want, before I get into that, I'm going to pass out some little quizzes for you, because we had some little pre-tests that we're supposed to do earlier. And I'm going to give you some pens, and it's going to have you guys, I'm going to quiz you guys on some stuff today. And pop quiz is just to see if you're listening. So, and I hope you guys grabbed a pen. But I think we've talked about much of this. So hopefully, oh, you guys, seems like one of you may have picked one up. Here you go. You can just pass one over to her. And we can go through these. I'll let you guys take a couple of minutes. And I'm going to be over here slicing while you guys are doing that. I think you already got one. Here you go. It says wooden slats with front. Plastic. Yeah, today was it was a fun experience. It's a beginning class. So the next class, I'll layer in a lot more stuff. So we'll try some fun stuff on the next one. The next class is going to be in December. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but you guys will know it because I'm going to send it to Miss Page. So you guys should have a date, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yes, I want to do those. So we're going to do the fruit leathers, and we're going to do some other fun stuff. And what will happen is I'll probably try and include more of the gifting stuff with the ribbons and jars, because I'll have probably some extras here. And I'll get to show you guys how you can actually decorate some jars like these more for a gifting item on hand, because that's something you can use if you don't have a lot of money to spend, or if you're just trying to do a lot of gifts for a lot of people. Because honestly, just to buy, say, but you know, minding if you have the actual dehydrator, but if you have like just say 2 bags of fruit, say apples, and just buy 1 thing of mason jars, it can give a lot of people stuff. However, the other thing you got to think about is you might want to buy smaller jars than these, because it's going to take you way more stuff to fill those up. So I've ordered really small ones. So that way, huh?
They call them jelly jars.
Yes, jelly jars. Yeah, so, and you can do 8 ounces, you can do 16 ounces, 12 ounces. It does, I mean, they have various sizes. So it pretty much just depends on what you're using it for, how much you need to put in it. And one other big tip, if you ever get into doing a little bit more advanced food preservation, they have a difference where they have wide mouth jars, And if you ever get into pickling or something like that, you do have to have wide mouth jars because of the fact that one of the instruments that is used for that activity or for that process, you have to have the wide mouth or it will not work. You can't, because you have to dip all the jars into this huge boiler about the size of mine, and it has to be hot, and you have to pull it out and dip it. So you have to have the wide mouth jars for certain certain activities that you're doing with food preservation. So and that's one small tip. If you don't, if this is new to you, that is something to look out for when you're looking to buy mason jars. And they are seasonal items. So because we are getting more towards winter, you may not be able to find them in some places, but places like grocery stores, places like that usually have them. And also on the fruits that were listed, some of those fruits all of them are seasonal, of course. So for this time of year, you may not be able to find fresh peaches in a grocery store, and it's always recommended too, you will get fresher at the farmer's market if you can have access to one, and go to purchase from your farmer's market, because their produce is a little bit, you'll taste the difference. It's better. And it's always healthy. There's a lot of nutrient density in a lot of these fruits and vegetables. And the reason why you want to continue to actually consume those, they actually have a lot of antioxidants in them. Like, say for instance, the little mandarin oranges you receive, those have a lot of vitamin C in it. So it gives you more energy, and you're not all, kind of tired and feeling more like sleepy and tired. So that's why your doctor will probably tell you, well, are you eating your fruits and vegetables? And sometimes they may not mention that, but I know mine sometimes, I guess they forget, but it will help you in terms of, even if you are on medication, it will keep your numbers regulated a little better. It'll keep everything a little bit more streamlined. So, and some other things and tips about some of the apples, they have a lot more than just vitamin C. They have vitamin A's and some other vitamins. I don't have a list in front of me, but calorie-wise, and it also, it will be a little bit less than, say, for instance, eating just like a cream-filled pie, and it has...
Just a little.
And
One would seek the doctor.
yeah, and I mean, you're probably going to indulge a little bit at some point in some cream-filled pies, but I'm just letting you know some of the nutritional benefits of an apple versus the cream-filled pie. But apples, they have less sugar in them, have more natural sugars, of course. So, and to be honest with you, longevity-wise, you don't see the difference. Like, it's not like you're going to eat an apple and like lose 10 pounds or something. But overall, long-term, if you have a healthier diet, you feel just better overall, because some of the things that they put in foods these days is either too salty or too much cane sugar. And the problem with sugars, your body doesn't process them as easy. And that's the problem with it. And so especially if you're a diabetic or if you have other health issues, it will literally, it will catch up with you in a short term. So for those of you, especially if you have diabetes, it's recommended that you watch your sugar intake. And if you have high blood pressure, it's recommended that you watch your salt intake and sodium. And you should always be watching both of those on your nutritional labels, because if you don't, it can really, really put you in the hospital really fast. And so we don't want that. So we want you eating healthy foods. And these little snacks and stuff that I'm recommending are something that, honestly, with sugar, we don't really need a lot, honestly, because everything is packed with sugar and salt. So if you start switching slowly, you won't even notice a difference. Like if you start eating, say, one fruit a week, and then you start incorporating another one, and you just start doing it more and more, you don't notice a huge difference over time. So, but you will notice a difference in your energy. And what you will find if you do it over time is you will eat it more often, then you'll reach for that versus, because sometimes I find myself craving more nutritious stuff and I don't want fries, I just want vegetables. Seriously, because I've had sometimes too much because I went and ate out a little more, you went entertaining. So it's always good to give your body the best of the best, and it will give you the best of the best. So your skin will be prettier, more radiant. Most of you don't have to worry about skin problems as much. But younger people, they tend to eat more fast food, and their face tends to break out more because of the oils and the food that they're eating. And most of them, they just, they learned that a little bit in time. But there's a big difference in your skin texture and everything once you start eating more fruits and vegetables. I can't tell you, it's just your heart rate, everything, all your numbers start to look a little bit better. So I always encourage eating healthy foods because some people, they'll ask me like, well, how do I lose weight? Or you exercise, but it's what you eat as well. So, there's no pill that you're going to just take. Nowadays we have pills that they may temporarily give you this beautiful physique and you lose weight, but it has side effects. So I would just recommend that if you're going to go that route with looking at some weight loss options, typically monitoring your calorie intake, slight exercise, whatever your doctor recommends, if you're under the direction of a doctor, and also just, drinking more water instead of soda, because soda has what in it? Sugar and carbs and all this stuff. So it's like usually with stuff like this, we try to recommend stuff that is healthier just because it extends the life by years, literally. So, yes. Did you have a question?
I was just gonna share with what happened to me with the last year or so. You buy fruit and they just go bad so quick. I don't know, just turn to water. I don't know, you could leave them out, put them in the refrigerator. But I learned now when I'm traveling, get dehydrated bananas, apples, and just dehydrated fruit. And it's work better on the road. You don't swell as much, and you just still getting your vegetables.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that tip because to your point, it's a dried and it helps because you can travel with it. Because what you'll notice, and I've even noticed this myself because I travel a lot, you put stuff in a bag, you're on the road, and stuff happens, and your food starts to deteriorate, and you've wasted money, even if it's an apple. It could look fresh and pretty when you pick it up from the breakfast bar, but then you throw it in your purse, and then later in the evening, or the next day, oh, I forgot I had an apple, and it's turning all brown and all this stuff. And it's like if you have the dehydrated version, it can be a good travel snack. And it's dry, and you can usually put it in your bag, and it doesn't change its texture. It stays that way for a while, and it usually has an expiration date on it, usually 90 days after that's on that packet, if you picked a good one, and haven't just pooped one off the clearance rack. Because usually if you find something on clearance in stores, especially grocery stores, it may be close to its short date, or meaning it may not be good for after 5 to 10 days, and it may be even expiring that same day. Usually if it's a bread as well or something like that. So make sure that you guys are looking at your expiration dates. Now your fresh fruits or stuff you're buying for like the dehydrators and stuff, you can usually tell if it's about to be at its expiration date, because on these, they're fresh and they're pretty. On these little oranges, they don't have any signs of deterioration. Everything looks fresh. And usually it'll start, for these, they'll start having like a mold look to them if they're too old. And at that point, you have to toss them in the trash can. Apples, they will probably, it depends, you probably can have those longer, but these, they tend to, it will depend, because sometimes the ones down in the middle, I guess because they're not getting sunlight or something, they'll tend to spoil, and you have to separate these out because it will ruin the other ones. So, yes, gnats, it will, like sometimes if you have fruit laying in your kitchen or something, and it's spoiled, you kind of know because gnats will come out of nowhere, and it's like, where is that coming from? So, and the other tip I recommend is when you are tossing, say for instance, you have a huge trash can that has a huge deep tub in it. Sometimes it's good to put your hulls or your peels into a little plastic bag and throw it in a trash can. Because if you don't and you're not taking your trash out that same day or that week, you'll have flies everywhere in your kitchen, and just they are attracted to that stuff, especially banana peels, stuff like that. So, and it keeps the smell down a whole lot. So if you get like those empty little plastic bags from a grocery store or a retail store, just throw the little peel in there, wrap it, and also